This is Thais Carter, Director of Content for Advanced Star Dental Media, and we are here at the Patterson Technology Center in Effingham, Illinois for the grand opening events. Now there's going to be a lot going on this evening, but before we get into the main event, we wanted to sit down with some of the people who are here tonight to talk about how some of the wider trends in technology are being met and addressed by the newly designed PTC. So before we get into the questions, I'm going to have the panel introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Marty Jablow from Woodbridge, New Jersey. I'm America's Dental Technology Coach.
And I'm Jana Berghoff. I'm the Marketing Manager for Technology for Patterson Dental.
I'm Rand Madsen. I'm a general dentist from Roy, Utah, and I'm a technology junkie.
Great. Now let's kind of jump into this with a pretty big question, I know, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think. As technology has continued to change, I feel like there are just more products, more innovations every day, every month. How has the definition of tech support needed to change and broaden in order to make sure that we can support dentists in all the different types of technology they bring into their office?
Tech support has totally changed. This center allows Patterson to have an expert on the phone with you within just seconds instead of waiting a day or two for a response. This is someone who's been trained on the particular products that you're using in your office, who can give you an answer and oftentimes can solve your problem right then and there over the phone. They can log into your system and solve the problem without actually sending one out to your office. But if you happen to need someone to come to your office, they can coordinate that right here through this tech center.
I would definitely agree with that. I remember a time when our support calls were answered in days, and then, boy, we were really celebrating when it went down to hours. And now here at the PTC, we track our on-hold times to the 100ths of seconds and make sure there's a live person answering. I think even the context of the phone call has changed. Initially, we were happy if our software just ran from morning to night without crashing or stopping or causing any major hiccups. And now people look to the software to just solve any dilemma that might come up in the day, be able to answer any questions and record anything they want. So I think the support questions are not so much, how come it's not running, but how can I do this? Am I using it the way I need to or that I can? So I think, the timeliness is definitely the situation, but I also think the content of what they're asking for is different.
I think tech support has totally changed. In the past, dentists would call tech support and were looking for an answer, and they hoped to get one fairly quickly. Well, in this day and age, they need that answer instantaneously. We don't wait around anymore trying to get answers. It needs to happen now. And that can happen in a number of different ways. One of the ways is via calling in. Another is through internet chat. And now they can log in. The remote people can call into the computer and just fix the damn problem, which is what the dentist wants done as quickly as possible.
Well, in terms of different methods of tech support, there are so many options now for how the general dentist can be supported, whether that's chat or video or still the traditional phone call. In your experience, what are the general dentist's preferences in terms of how he or she is supported?
The main difference, I think, at this point is the expectation. We now live in a society where taking all that time, as Jana said, to support a call or a problem is unacceptable. It now is instantaneously needs to be directed to the proper places, and the infrastructure, such as here at the PTC, is in place so that the calls are routed to the appropriate people with the expertise to solve the problem as quickly as possible versus one person trying to follow the checklist and get through the whole thing.
One of the coolest parts of the Technology Center is the Usability Lab. And so, Jan, I don't know if you want to give a quick rundown of what that is, and then I'd love to hear what you guys think about why that's important, why having something like the Usability Lab here is really kind of setting the bar for support moving forward.
I think software has come so far and it's going to go so far. We set up a usability lab here so that we can actually study people's reactions to the software. So we set it up so that we have people come in that know our software or people that have never even seen it but might have some experience with software. We maybe even will bring in people who have very little experience with software. We set them up with the software and we'll say, we want you to make an appointment next Friday for 45 minutes and then watch them intuitively go through the software. So based on facial expressions, tensions, the time it takes, things that they might say, we can determine what buttons should be in the right place to make it easy and intuitive. And that's really the goal. We want people to be able to use the software just intuitively with the least amount of stress. So in the Usability Lab, we can actually measure that.
It seems like there are so many different ways to support the dentist kind of once they have things in their practice. But how important is on-site, face-to-face training as maybe the first line of defense in customer support?
Training is absolutely critical. You have to have the training to have the basics to run whatever program or piece of equipment it may be. But then if you have a problem with that, the PTC is here to back you up with experts that can solve the problem for you, most of the time over the phone. If you actually need it, they can dispatch someone to help you solve your problem. But training is critical, otherwise the equipment will wind up over in a corner unused and wasted.
It's not just about the initial training, though. It's ongoing training.
Sure.
Yes. With every update, with every new feature, you have to come back to training. If you want to maximize the use of the software or the hardware technologies, the whole thing comes back to ongoing training. Without it, you get left behind.
Well, and there's a consistency factor to it, to be quite honest. Because if you sit 6 hygienists down to the software, they each may do something just a little bit differently.
Right.
But from the doctor's perspective, they need to have the same information in the same place. So sometimes sitting down with that trainer and saying, okay, how do you all do this? And then make sure everyone's on the same page, that it's a consistent flow, and that everybody's doing everything the easiest way. It just helps make that software just that much more responsive.
Sometimes those trainers have a lot of field, in fact, most times they have a lot of field experience, and they can show you the tips and the tricks that make your life easier, rather than you having to reinvent the wheel or find a kludge to get around the problem. They can tell you exactly how to solve it.
You know, have you even thought that, you know, why are you even doing this? You know, is this even a good idea?
Right.
Sometimes someone from the outside will come in, and I know back in my training days, it was, and tell me, why is it that you're doing that? And they'd go, I don't really remember. Well, then let's readdress that. Maybe it's not time
That's
critical.
the way I was taught.
Yeah.
Just like in dental school. Why do you do it? That's how I was taught. That may not be the most effective way now.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, thank all three of you for making a little bit of time this evening. For more on our coverage of the Patterson Technology Center, visit www.dentalproductsreport.com.